All right, so Mr. S did have to go to the restroom earlier. Good job, sir. So he did end up having to go poop. So ready, we'll do a little find it, get him in the groove. So now he's thankfully nice and empty and ready to work. So we're going to try working a bit with our leash pressure. So leash pressure, again, I know we've sort of lightly touched base on it here and there, is that we don't want to make the leash into like a thing that creates a correction. So there's moments where some other trainers will at times, out of frustration at their end as well, will pull and yank on the equipment to sort of teach the dog that pulling gets you something bad. Remember that your pups don't understand that you're upset as to what they're doing. They're just going to find you at times to be scary or at times to be safe. So if your babe is getting confused with loose leash walking, make sure that we're also either not a nag and constantly pulling on equipment, but also that we're not at times scary and creating this want or need to get further from us and create that distance. So leash pressure involves having your babe on their gear and getting them comfortable when they feel pressure to have them move into your space. So the way I like to work this in the beginning especially is have your puppy in front of you, and then what you're going to do is do a little pull on the gear and then feed for that response. So if, for example, Stanley again gets in the habit of thinking tension equals pull to get more fun things, we want it to be where we pull and we feed. So what this is teaching him is that in the beginning, when he's a little bit unsure, view it like the tap on the shoulder where someone's trying to get your attention. And when they do, ready, Stanley? Right now he says he's a little distracted. He wants to go wrestle or check out some of the stuff on the walls. Ready, Stanley, what's this? Find it. There we go, good boy. So when Mr. S gets a little bit unsure, I'm gonna let him go explore a little bit. I wanna explain a little bit more with the leash pressure, and then he's gonna help me demo. He still probably thinks there's a friend back there, but Bear has to typically leave a bit early from doggy day school. So Stanley, he's like, hold on, there's so many cool things off in the distance. So if there's moments where your puppy's non-responsive, obviously gauge the environment, gauge their comfort range, and then it is towards the end of the day, so they do start to get a little bit tired after practicing with me. I know throughout the day I do film little tidbits throughout the session that they're here, but remember, I'm not filming everything, so at times, even though we've practiced, he might then appear to be a little bit more tired because we've already worked a couple good skills. So for Stanley, for leash pressure, view it again like someone tapping on your shoulder, and then they're trying to get your attention. When they do get your attention, you might let them know what you would like out of them. So don't view it as a tap and then ignore. So in the beginning with Mr. S, it might be, again, he's in front of you and you pull lightly on the equipment and then you feed and you pull and you feed. And then eventually as he's walking and he all of a sudden pulls ahead and there's tension, it means to come check back in. So I'm going to go see if I can help Mr. S just get a little check-in, and then I'm going to bring him back over here so we can practice. Ready? Stanley. He says, but lady, there's some crumbs over in this corner. So he may have found some of the stash that was left behind earlier. Ready, sir? So if my puppy ever has a hard time disengaging from an environment, I know I'm out of the camera range right now, but I like to go all the way to my puppy, retrieve them from the place they were having a hard time, and then start to, again, feed them for doing the behavior I would rather. So if Mr. S was a little bit excited or a little bit distracted by the smells or distractions in the environment, I know at times there's also funny noises from the trucks and the trains and things that go by. So with Mr. S, we're going to try and warm up a little bit with some of these lovely leash pressure behaviors. So in the beginning, he's doing a little shake off. Good job, sir. I'm going to get his attention on me first. I'm going to do a little pull and feed, a little pull and feed, a little pull and feed. So I'm not going too far away from him. If your environment is not super conducive to backing up, just be careful so you don't trip. So again, a little pull on his gear and feed. Again, little pull and feed. So you'll see that Mr. S, he's still feeling comfortable while doing this behavior. This shouldn't be creating negative feelings or responses from him. So if, again, this seems spooky, you might be applying too much pressure, and it should feel like nothing too, immense. It should just be a little pull on his gear, and he gets fed for that checking in from the pressure. So then as you're working with a little bit of loose leash walking, and let's say your puppy gets ahead and there's pressure, it turns into check-in. So I don't know if you saw that little moment where as he pulled into his harness, when he feels the pressure, it then turns into a check-in. If he doesn't quite respond, he's just interested in my little one today. So if let's say he's a little distracted, you can then walk down your leash for a second, try to get his focus back on you and regain his attention. So if let's say in the beginning, he's having a little bit of a hard time, he's more interested in maybe what my littlest one is doing off in the distance, Stanley, we can also sometimes help him, yes, by getting a little bit closer and helping him move into your space and feed for that. Good job. He says, I would really like to check out those cool things on the wall. So, excuse me, for Mr. S, I'm going to see if I can grab a couple toys and see if he might engage with a little bit of play. So we'll see if he goes for some. Ready, Stanley? What's this? So for a lot of puppies, remember how if we are becoming a little bit boring or stagnant, sometimes play can be a nice motivational tool to help redirect and get them honed in. If again, there's sort of play, it depends on what the item might be. You may have to figure out what motivates your puppy. So some of the boys in here are a lot more toy driven. Others are more food driven, but it might be just finding the item that maybe motivates your particular beauty. So for example, I know raccoon was very popular last time with Mr. Charlie, but maybe Mr. Hanson over here prefers this lovely fleece. Ready? Stanley, we'll see if he goes for the toy. If again, you're not getting the same behavior in one environment to the other, that does sometimes happen. So remember, generalization of your skills does require some good reps and some practice. So for Stanley, come. So if let's say he's a little bit distracted, I'm going to go to the handsome guy, see if I can get his attention. Ready? Yes. Bring him into my space. Good job. And I'll do a little find it there to get him moving. And again, if he's not going for the toys, I know I'd mentioned previously that for some of the babes, comfort range will vary. Also, if he's tired because it's already been a nice big chunk of his day, he could also be getting a little bit fatigued and ready for a nap. So we'll work another couple little skills. He's not really interested in the toys right now. So we'll try a little bit with maybe some of his other lovely behaviors that we're trying to gain out of Mr. S. But his loose leash walking was looking quite nice earlier too.